Happy Aries season, everybody. And here are 10 movies to watch during Aries season. So let's get right into it. So the first movie is The Warriors. So I'm sure a lot of my viewers, especially my older viewers, have seen this movie. I chose this to add to my list because it's a tough guy film. It deals with a lot of fighting. It basically is a film about gangs and how this one gang in particular have to fight their way back to Coney Island. So let me just read the storyline from Wikipedia. So The Warriors was released in 1979. Storyline: Cyrus, the leader of the most powerful gang in New York City, the Gramercy Rips, called a midnight summit for all the area gangs, with all asked to send 9 unarmed representatives for the conclave. A gang called the Warriors are blamed for killing Cyrus as he gives his speech. They now have to cross the territory of rivals in order to get to their own hood. The Warriors slowly cross the dangerous Bronx and Manhattan territories, narrowly escaping police and other gangs every step of the way. Now, another reason why I chose this film for Aries season is because it's original in terms of its plot. So this would, you never saw nothing like this before, and it was um, high energy, fast paced. So it really keeps you on the edge of your seat, which is very Aries. And here are some of the taglines from the movie, which is very Aries. So here's one: these are the armies of the night. They are 60,000 strong. They outnumber the cops 3 to 1. They could run New York City. Tonight, they're all out to get the Warriors. Another tagline: can you dig it? So those who have seen the movie, you already know what that scene is about. And then also, that's him, the warrior. He shot Cyrus. The Warriors did it. Also, Warriors come out and play. And also, when one of the warriors says, we're going to have to bop our way all the way back to Coney Island. So, bop our way meaning fight our way all the way back. So, Warriors definitely a good film to watch during this Aries season. So, moving along. The next film is Platoon. So, this is one of my favorite films from the 80s. It is a film about the Vietnam War. It's one of the most well done films portraying the Vietnam War, in my opinion. So this was released in 1986. It's another tough guy film, deals with the military, and Aries is one of the signs of the military. It is raw, it is gritty, it has a lot of action, it has fights in it, of course, but there's a couple of fights in particular with 2 of the main guys. So you have Barnes, which is featured right here. That's Barnes right there. And then you have Elias, but you can't see him. But they are 2 sergeants, I believe, and they're like at odds with each other. So let me just read the storyline. So Chris Taylor is a young, naive American. Chris Taylor is played by Charlie Sheen, but he's really come secondary in terms of acting in this film. He, while he basically was the star of the film, it's the supporting actors that really carry this film. So Chris Taylor is a young, naive American who gives up college and volunteers for combat in Vietnam. Upon arrival, he quickly discovers that his presence is quite non-essential and is considered insignificant to the other soldiers, as he has not fought for as long as the rest of them and felt the effects of combat. Chris has 2 non-commissioned officers, the ill-tempered and indestructible Staff Sergeant Robert Barnes, right here, played by Tom Berenger, and the more pleasant and cooperative Sergeant Elias Groden, that's played by William Dafoe. A line is drawn between the 2 NCOs and a number of men in the platoon when an illegal killing occurs during a village raid. As the war continues, Chris himself draws towards psychological meltdown. And as he struggles for survival, he soon realizes he is fighting 2 battles: the conflict with the enemy and the conflict between the men within his platoon. So, Platoon, released 1986. Very good film if you haven't seen it, especially for my younger viewers. Definitely want to check this film out. So, here are some of the taglines from Platoon. Actually, there's only one. So, the first casualty of war is innocence. Next film, Kill Bill. Now I'm adding Kill Bill 1 and 2 because you basically got to see both of them to really understand the whole movie. But Kill Bill is action packed, has a lot of fighting in it, weaponry, which is Aries. So it features these very finely made swords, Hattori Hanzo swords, raw action, just crazy with it. Has some gore in it as well. So let me just read the storyline. So this is a movie directed by Quentin Tarantino. Lead character called the Bride was a member of the Daily Viper assassination squad led by her lover, Bill. Upon realizing she was pregnant with Bill's child, the Bride decided to escape her life as a killer. She fled to Texas, met a young man who, on the day of their wedding rehearsal, was gunned down by an angry and jealous Bill, with the assistance of the Daily Viper assassination squad. 4 years later, the bride wakes from a coma and discovers her baby is gone. She then decides to seek revenge upon the 5 people who destroyed her life and kill her baby. The saga of Kill Bill Volume 1 begins. So this is a very original film, part 1 and part 2. So originality, that's very Aries, but it is ultra violent, which is very Aries, and has some great fighting scenes and the different weapons as well. So not only swords, there's this one part where what is her name, Go-Go or something like that. She is one of Lucy Liu's characters, henchmen, and she uses this ball and chain type thing. So it's really dope seeing the different weapons and stuff like that. Moving along, Sherry Baby. So I had to go more on the softer end of Aries, but still keep it gritty and raw. So Sherry Baby is a film that was released in 2006, so it's more recent. And it features Maggie Gyllenhaal, Jake Gyllenhaal's sister, and she plays this slutty, trashy chick that's trying to basically get custody of her daughter back after she is released from prison. So when I think of Dark Side of Aries, I think of chicks like this in terms of, just being like basically in the film, as you'll see if you've never seen it, she uses her sex to get over, to get favors and stuff like that, because basically that's all she knows. But the thing is, you end up developing, and she's really not a likable character, and she's the type that's not going to back down from a fight. So she gets into a couple of fights when she gets out of prison and all that type of stuff. So she's a tough girl type of chick, real raw and all that type of stuff, grimy, all that type of stuff. But then there's a part in the movie where you start to develop compassion for her because, like I said, she's really not a likable character. But then there's a part in the film that explains why she is the way she is, which is really heart-wrenching. So if you haven't seen Sherry Baby, I definitely recommend that you see it. To me, she is portraying a dark side of Aries chick. All right, moving along. Oh, and the tagline for this, and I'm getting these taglines from IMDb. The tagline for Sherry Baby is "No one makes it alone." So you know how, Aries can act like they don't need nobody and all that stuff. Well, that's not true. Everybody needs somebody. Everybody needs help sometimes, and that was definitely the case with Sherry. She needed a lot of help, but she was one of those people sometimes where, some people that need help, it's hard helping them because they're so hard-headed, and that's what she was. All right, moving along. Drowning Mona. Now, this is a little known film, and to me, it's a little gem of a film because it's not just funny, it has some violent scenes, and it depicts a dark sided, middle aged Aries woman to a T, if you ask me. So, Mona is played by Bette Midler, and Bette Midler does a wonderful job of playing a bitch. She has played a bitch in quite a few movies. So she was just made for this role. So let me just read the storyline. Drowning Mona, released in 2000. Mona Dearly, a spiteful, loudmouth, unpopular woman, dies when the car she is driving plunges off of a cliff. and into a river near the small upstate New York town where she lives. Wyatt Rash, the local police chief, investigates and suspects foul play in Mona's death. The whole town is suspect, including Wyatt's daughter Ellen, who is about to marry landscape artist Bobby Calzone, whose business suffers from his lazy business partner Jeff, Mona's slow-witted son, as well as a waitress, Rona Mace, that's played by Jamie Lee Curtis, who was having an affair with Mona's husband. Danny DeVito's also in this, and Nev Campbell. It's a really good movie that really didn't get much shine, and it got kind of low ratings, but if you're looking for a movie that's different, that's original, that's funny, but also has some violent scenes, and where if you really want to get a characterization of how like a dark side of Aries mom gets down, watch this film. All right, moving. Oh, and the tagline for Drowning Mona is one murder, 460 prime suspects. Not so much of a whodunit as a whodidn't. The death of Mona Dearly wasn't so much a whodunit as a whodidn't. Who wanted to see Mona Dearly dead? Take a number. So again, she was a serious bitch, and most people hated her. All right, moving along. Heat. So Heat is one of my favorite action crime films, and it's actually based off of a true crime story that took place in LA, this bank heist in LA. So Heat features Robert De Niro, oh damn, why can't I think? Val Kilmer, Al Pacino. It's like an all-star cast. And Heat was released in 1995. So let me just read the storyline. So hunters and their prey, Neil and his professional criminal crew, hunt to score big money targets, banks, vaults, armored cars, and are in turn haunted by Lieutenant Vincent Hanna and his team of cops in the Robbery Homicide Police Division. A botched job puts Hanna onto their trail while they regroup and try to put together one last big retirement score. Neil and Vincent are similar in many ways, including their troubled personal lives. At a crucial moment in his life, Neil disobeys the dictum taught to him long ago by his criminal mentor. Never have anything in your life that you can't walk out on in 30 seconds flat if you spot the heat coming around the corner. That is so Aries right there. As he falls in love. Thus, the stage is set for the suspense ending. So I chose this film because there are some crazy shooting scenes, especially that climax scene where they have that shootout in downtown LA. Like, that is the longest movie scene shootout I think that I've ever seen. I mean, it just goes on and on. So if you like seeing movies where they got the scenes where it's like a shootout and all that type of stuff, if you like seeing different guns, weapons, if you like action, violence, definitely check out Heat because you will not be disappointed. So let me see, what else do I have to say about Heat? That's pretty much it. But it's definitely a tough guy film. And here are the taglines. An LA redemption, a Los Angeles crime saga. I mean, nothing really creative about those taglines. Moving along. Predator. Predator was released in 1987, one of my favorite films of the 80s, action-packed. It's another film that deals with the military, but these are like special forces, special ops, they're on a special mission in the jungles of South America, but they come upon something that nobody has even imagined that even existed. So let me just read the storyline. A team of special forces ops, led by a tough but fair soldier, Major Dutch Schaefer, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, are ordered to assist CIA man Colonel Al Dillon on a rescue mission. Colonel Al Dillon is played by Carl Weathers. On a rescue mission for potential survivors of a helicopter down over a remote South American jungle. Not long after they land, Dutch and his team discover that they have been sent in under false pretenses. This deception turns out to be the least of their worries, though, when they find themselves being methodically hunted by something not of this world. So Predator is, again, action-packed. If you're into weaponry, check out this film because it got different types of guns. It got this crazy Gatling gun that is used by Jesse Ventura, who was a wrestler back in the 80s. He was actually one of my favorite wrestlers back in the 80s. He was Jesse the Body Ventura. But he is in this film. He does a really good job in terms of acting. So it is definitely a tough guy film. It is original in terms of its plot. Big guns, not just in terms of the weapons, but big guns in terms of arms. So if you're into, seeing muscle-bound men and all that machismo and all that testosterone, check out Predator. Now here are some of the taglines. Oops, my bad. If it bleeds, we can kill it. That's very Aries. Also, nothing like it has ever been on Earth before. That's very Aries, new things. It came for the thrill of the hunt. It picked the wrong man to hunt. That's Aries. Soon the hunt will begin. Nothing like it has ever been on Earth before. It came from another planet for the thrill of the hunt. In another part of the world where there are no rules, deep in the jungle, where nothing that lives is safe, an elite rescue squad is led by the ultimate warrior. All right. Moving along. Kung Fu Hustle. So I had to put some comedy in here, but this is a comedy that is action packed and it involves a lot of fighting. So it's both funny, but it has some violent scenes. So I would say it's still a good enough, it's still decent enough for the whole family to watch, but not the real little ones, because there are some like kind of gory and like scenes that, are a little bit too rough for, little like 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, but like I would say 8 and up. Oh yeah, this is a good like family film. So let me just read about Kung Fu Hustle. So Kung Fu Hustle was released in 2004. It's a Stephen Chow film. So he put out Kung Fu Hustle and Shaolin Soccer, and both of them are really good. Now, set in Canton, China in the 1940s, the story revolves in a town ruled by the Axe Gang. Singh, who desperately wants to become a member. He stumbles into a slum ruled by eccentric landlords who turns out to be the greatest kung fu masters in disguise. Singh's actions eventually cause the Axe Gang and the slumlords to engage in an explosive kung fu battle. Only one side will win, and only one hero will emerge as the greatest kung fu master of all. So here are the taglines. A film that proves being a good bad guy is harder than it looks, which is very Aries. A new comedy unlike anything you have seen before, Aries. So many gangsters, so little time. From walking disaster to Kung Fu Master. So if you haven't seen Kung Fu Hustle and you want, an action-packed film that's also funny as hell, check it out. And Kung Fu Hustle has that slapstick comedy. That's where it's like kind of over the top, people getting hurt, people getting into crazy situations and stuff like that. And I feel that slapstick comedy is very Aries. Moving along, Clue. Now, Clue is another slapstick comedy, which is one of the reasons why I selected this to watch during Aries season. And a lot of my older viewers, I'm sure you've seen Clue. A lot of these movies that I mentioned already, I have DVDs of. So Clue is one of the DVDs that I have. It's one of my favorite movies from the 80s. It is very smart. It is very original. Now, it is based off of the board game, but that's one of the reasons about why it's so original. But it's definitely a movie that will have you, laughing, but also kind of on the edge of your seat. And another reason why I picked Clue is because it features these 7 guests and these weapons. So 7 suspects, 6 weapons, 5 bodies, and 3 endings. That's another original thing about this movie. It comes with 3 possible endings. So let me just read the storyline. So Clue is about 7 guests, a butler and a maid, who are all involved in a series of murders. The guests all meet at Hill House, where you learn that Professor Plum works in D.C., where everyone else lives. Colonel Mustard is a client of Miss Scarlet, who is the ex-employer of Yvette, the maid, who had an affair with the husband of Mrs. White, etc. Blackmailer Mr. Body gives each guest a weapon and tells them to kill Butler Wadsworth to avoid being exposed. Add in Mrs. Peacock's craziness and Mr. Green's clumsiness and meet a whole group tangled in a web of murder, lies, and hilarity. Now, I have Jupiter and Aries in the 3rd house. And what really intrigued me about the board game and the film is the weapons. the weapons part, because like I said, it features 6 weapons, like a rope used to strangle somebody, a wrench, a dagger, a gun, like a revolver, and what else? A candlestick. So I was always fascinated about different ways you could kill somebody with different weapons and stuff like that. Oh, a lead pipe, that was the other one. So I used to love the board game, which was an original board game, and I love the film as well. Moving along. And last but not least, we have A Low Down Dirty Shame. Now, the reason why I picked this is because it is original in terms of not really the plot, but more so original because it was a very well done black action movie. And it has some very funny parts. And it also is high energy. And it is a tough guy film as well. So, Low Down Dirty Shame, finely made film. So, you know, Keenan Ivory Wayans, he really deserves a lot of credit for that. Jada Pinkett Smith, she really played a good supporting role in the film. So definitely check out A Low Down Dirty Shame if you haven't seen it, but I'm sure a lot of my viewers have. It's definitely, you know, a good film to watch during Aries season because he plays a real tough guy that, like, he's rolling solo and he takes down all the bad guys by himself and all that stuff with the help of Peaches, Jada Pinkett Smith, all that. So let me know what you think. What movies would you suggest watching during Aries season? And I'll be back with more videos. If you would like a reading, you could go to my website at rabina.com. Peace and many blessings.